Hey guys, in today's video, we're going to compare Arnold Schwarzenegger from 1974 against Chris Bumstead from the 2022 Mr. Olympia. I just want to take a quick moment to thank you all for helping me get to 100 subscribers. It really means a lot to me. It's always been a goal of mine to make a YouTube channel, and the support that I've gotten recently has been more than I could have ever asked for. I've also invested in a new microphone, so I hope that I can bring you all better sound quality throughout these videos. Just to mention before the video starts as well, in this comparison, I'm only going to be using the, classic physique mandatory poses because, as most of you guys know, Arnold Schwarzenegger was never really known for hitting a side tricep pose, and also the rear lat spread from 1974 was really impossible for me to find. So just remember that there won't be a rear lat spread, and there also won't be a side tricep shot. Going into the first pose, the front double bicep pose, one thing you guys may notice throughout this video is that, obviously Chris Bumstead is going to have better conditioning than Arnold. Conditioning has come a long way since the 1970s, and that is very evident here if we look at the difference in conditioning of both men. Now, personally, I think that Arnold's conditioning is not that bad considering the time period that he competed in, and especially from the front. His quads look diced and separated, and you cannot really complain. He looks good in the legs. Now, Chris Bumstead definitely takes the leg department handily. I mean, look at his separation and the size of his quads. The midsection also goes to Chris Bumstead, right? I mean, Chris Bumstead known for a very small waist, while Arnold has always been known for having a blocky or wider waist. The lats, while the lat flare seems to be more prominent for Chris Bumstead, I think Arnold's lats do look better, and I think Arnold creates a better, you know, V taper, but Chris Bumstead's V taper is immaculate as well. Now, the arms for Arnold are a just a domination. I really like Arnold's arms, and in my opinion, I mean, Chris Bumstead has a better overall flow, but Arnold is what I think of when I think of classic physique. The big arms, just the mass overall. And I mean, Arnold, he is huge here. This is his 1974 version. He is massive. And I think in a pose like this, the conditioning really isn't that much different. So personally, I prefer Arnold in this shot, so I'll give him the point. In the front lat spread, you guys might notice that this is a photo shoot picture for Arnold. And in this photo shoot picture, they try to capture the best possible angles and lighting, and they really did that here. Arnold looks spectacular. Now, Chris Bumstead, on stage picture from the 2022 Mr. Olympia, and he looks phenomenal. Look at the V taper that he creates, and look at those lats. They look incredible. Chris Bumstead's conditioning throughout the lower and upper body is just, it's perfect. And that V taper, like I said, it is just creating a perfect front lat spread in my opinion. Now, Arnold, he definitely competes. He is competitive in a pose like this against Chris Bumstead. I mean, look at the legs on Arnold. Arnold not known for having great legs, but here they look massive. Arnold's arms look very big, like always, and he looks ripped, dry, and conditioned too. But the conditioning is just not there on the same level. And even if we don't take the conditioning into account, Arnold's wide waist kind of takes away from the overall pose. And both men look to have a similar amount of clavicle width, so I'm going to give this pose to Chris Bumstead. In the side chest pose, one is immediately drawn to Arnold. Look at the size of his chest and arms and legs and the ginormous calves. He looks massive. Granted, the cameraman is taking this at a very flattering upward angle. I mean, you guys can kind of see that in this picture. Now, if we look at Chris Bumstead presents a very contrasting physique. Look at the conditioning. He might not have the same freaky level of size that Arnold has in a pose like this, but he presents a equally as freaky level of conditioning. Now, if I were to really judge this as a, bodybuilding judge, this would be a no-brainer, and I would give it to Chris Bumstead for the conditioning, right? I mean, Arnold would not fare well on a competitive bodybuilding stage because in a pose like this, he looks like he's in, off-season mode here, right? Personally, I prefer the look of Arnold. He looks amazing. And that's not to say that Chris Bumstead doesn't look amazing, but Chris Bumstead overall has the overall package. He has a very good chest. He has very good body parts all around and presents a phenomenal package in a pose like this. So I'm going to give this shot to Chris Bumstead. In the one and only back shot, the rear double bicep pose, I am once again impressed by how well Arnold stacks up against someone who competes 50 years later. I mean, look at the Christmas tree region on Arnold. It is, shredded. I mean, look at that. You can see the fibers in the Christmas tree. It looks phenomenal. Now, the legs, obviously, he's not flexing his hamstrings. They didn't pose to flex the hamstrings back in the day. And who knows? He could have had diced and ripped glutes and hamstrings. We don't know. Now, the calves on Arnold look phenomenal. Chris Bumstead has diced and ripped hamstrings and glutes, and also has pretty decent calves. Now, if we look at the back itself, Chris Bumstead has tremendous flair in the lats. I mean, he has a huge back and a very wide and thick one as well. Arnold's lats are not as wide and they don't flare out as much. And he kind of lacks the overall density that Chris Bumstead has. Now, his traps, on the other hand, are very thick and dense. They're pretty comparable to Chris Bumstead's in a shot like this. Now, Arnold is 100% winning in the arm region. Chris Bumstead kind of holding one arm down. I don't know why. Maybe a posing issue. But yeah, Chris Bumstead's arms do not look bad either. But man, Arnold does look phenomenal here. But like in the last shot, Chris Bumstead presents a better overall package head to toe. And if I were going to judge this like a bodybuilding judge, I would have to give this shot to Chris Bumstead because he presents conditioning, flow, and muscularity. In the abs and thigh shot, both men look good in their respective choice of this pose. Arnold is doing an unconventional one hand overhead, but looks very good in it. Look at the lat, it is very lowly inserted and helps create a very good V taper here. He has very Dyson separated abs, and the midsection overall looks very good, even though he has a 4-pack. Now, look at the striations in the chest. Phenomenal. The legs go to Chris Bumstead hands down. Arnold's legs are not as big, nor are they as separated. Now, this pose really comes down to preference, right? Do you prefer, as a judge, would you prefer a, diced and cut midsection, or would you prefer a vacuum pose? And I think that Chris Bumstead, for me, if I was the judge, creates a better V taper overall. And I personally like the vacuum pose. So I think I'm going to have to give this shot to Chris Bumstead because he presents what I'm looking for. And on top of that, is better conditioned. For the last shot, the most muscular pose, both men once again doing different poses or different variations of the most muscular. Now, Chris Bumstead is doing a kind of hands clasped most muscular, kind of reminiscent of a Kevin Levrone, while Arnold Schwarzenegger is doing a just conventional crab pose. And man, Arnold looks thick, dense, and conditioned here, and his quads do not look too shabby. Chris Bumstead looks good here. Um, yeah, that's really all I can say. I mean, he doesn't look phenomenal in a pose like this. His shoulders, everything looks very good. I can't really say there's a very standout body part. I mean, his shoulders do look tremendous. They look amazing here, and his quads obviously look very good. But you can't deny the fact that Arnold just looks amazing in this pose. It's like, I mean, there's just something about the crab most muscular with him. I mean, the traps, the chest, the arms, all just key components of a pose like this, which he has all of them. I'm gonna have to give the most muscular pose to Arnold just because I mean the lack of conditioning really isn't that noticeable here, and his dense and thick muscle really kind of overpower Chris in a pose like this. So to conclude this matchup, I will show you guys my scorecard, which you guys can see on screen right now, and I'll go over who won what. I had Arnold winning the front double bicep and the most muscular pose, while I had Chris Bumstead winning the front lat, the side chest, the rear double bicep, and the abs and thigh, which means that Chris Bumstead won this comparison. Before all of you Arnold fans come at me saying, like, oh, Chris Bumstead isn't as good as Arnold, whatever, blah, 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 I want you guys to just take into account for a second that, obviously bodybuilding has progressed in the last 50 years, and conditioning plays a major factor in my decisions. Chris Bumstead presented phenomenal conditioning, and on top of that, presented amazing, genetics and flow. He just had the overall package. Arnold, with, whatever today's conditioning and today's, PEDs and training methods and stuff like that, there's definitely a chance he could have been 100% more competitive and even won this comparison. I want to thank you guys who stuck around to the end of the video. It means a lot to me. And once again, thank you guys for getting me to 100 subs. It really means the world to me. I never thought I would get to 100 subscribers, and now I really think that I can push towards bigger goals like 500, even 1,000, which would be like a dream come true. So once again, thank you guys for watching this video. If you guys liked, consider liking the video, of course, and maybe subscribe. That would really mean a lot to me too. Help me get to my goal. Comment down below what you guys thought of this comparison. If there's any disagreements, I'd love to hear them. I'm always open to changing my mind. Now, thank you, and see you next time. I want to thank you guys who stuck around to the end of the video. It means a lot to me. And once again, thank you guys for getting me to 100 subs. It really means the world to me. I never thought I would get to 100 subscribers, and now I really think that I can push towards bigger goals like 500, even 1,000, which would be like a dream come true. So once again, thank you guys for watching this video. If you guys liked, consider liking the video, of course, and maybe subscribe. That would really mean a lot to me too. Help me get to my goal. Comment down below what you guys thought of this comparison. If there's any disagreements, I'd love to hear them. I'm always open to changing my mind. Now, thank you, and see you next time.